Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Lowell City Council to order. Begin with the council prayer. Dear God, today as the session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please join me in honoring America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Murphy.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendoza.
Here.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. The chair would like to recognize Councilor Bill Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to recognize Andy Gagnon for a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Andy was the founder of AG Hardware here in Lowell. He was predeceased by his wife, Julie, and leaves 4 children surviving him, Paul, Donald, Carl, and Louis, 2 of whom still work in the Gagnon AG Hardware store today. Andy was a veteran of World War II. He's also survived by 13 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. He had many active community interests. I know he was a strong supporter of Duville Manor and then later Duville Senior Care, also Saints Medical Center, and I think he was the longest, at least presently the longest serving member of the Board of Directors of Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. He was truly very proud of his city, and he enjoyed traveling in his later years and was, I know, always bragging about Lowell wherever he went. He was a great citizen of Lowell and did a lot of good things for a lot of people in his life, and be sorely missed.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Chair recognizes Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to request a moment of silence with darkened chambers for William Bill Hoare, a loving and devoted husband, father, grandfather, a very dedicated employee of the Lowell Sun for over 46 years in the circulation department. His love and his passion was shown many times, not only with the Lowell Sun, but with the Golden Gloves, where he treated boxers and trainers and referees, the staff and the audience with the utmost respect. I remember it was 1996 when we had some Russian amateur fighters come over to this country, and I was the mayor at the time, and Mr. Hoare asked if I would meet them in City Hall, and I did. And we entertained those amateur fighters, and they thought that it was the greatest thing that they ever experienced. And that weekend, we also met them at the hotel and presented those fighters with American flags. And those Russian amateur fighters could not get enough of those American flags. And that's what Bill Hoare did. He reached out and made things happen in a very, very positive way. Mr. Hoare leaves his lovely wife, Susan, his son, Devin, his daughters, Susan Alice Alves, Julie LaGrassa and her husband, Antonio, his lovely grandchildren, Mia, AJ LaGrassa, Irene and Alice McLaughlin Alves of Jamaica Plains, his sister, Barbara Hoare, his brother-in-law, Daniel Alves, and his wife, Anne Marie of Lowell, Emmanuel Alves, and his wife, Nancy of Plainsville, Illinois, his sister-in-law, Sandra Patria, and her husband, Kenneth, of Summerworth, New Hampshire. And we just wish that, we wish the family well. Our prayers and hearts are with them. And may Mr. Hoare and Mr. Gagnon rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caulfield. Let us all rise in a moment of silence for these 2 wonderful gentlemen, as well as those who have passed away since our last council meeting. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Again, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A couple of items of recognition this evening before we get into the regular agenda. The first item is the Powwow Oak Protectors, and I do have a letter. I don't know if all of my colleagues received this, but it is addressed to the councilors, and if you would indulge me, I'd like to read the letter into the record and then invite representatives of the Powwow Oak Protectors to the microphone. Dear councilors, please accept this letter as an introduction to a newly formed group of concerned citizens who wish to help protect the historic Powwow Oak tree on Clark Road. We hereby request to be placed on the agenda of your next available meeting as a discussion item. Because of our recent encroachment and damage to the Powwow Oak, we are seeking your help with our efforts to protect it. We've been given inconsistent information regarding its legal status and position in relation to the public rights of way. As an historic monument dating back more than 300 years, commemorated by the Daughters of the Revolution, we believe it deserves protection and that it should be accessible to the public. Currently, it is not clear if such access or protection exists. As a Native American religious shrine, it should be accessible for worship. It would be a tremendous loss and an insult to Native American culture if it were damaged or destroyed. As the last of its kind, it has historic and cultural significance to the city of Lowell. Its protection could benefit the city in many ways, which we'd like to discuss with you. The Powwow Oak could become a new symbolic emblem for Lowell's appreciation of history, and the city of Lowell's protection efforts would be an example for others around the country, leaving a legacy the city council could be proud of. We look forward to meeting with you. Sincerely, Andrew Zavakovitz and George Kumancelis, the Powwow Oak Protectors. I'd like to invite either George or Andrew to the microphone. Andrew, thank you. We do have a 5-minute rule here at the council, just for your information.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Andrew Salvakovac from the Powwow Oak Protectors, and I want to thank you for hearing us tonight. You heard the letter, and basically all we're looking for is some kind of determination that's somewhat definitive as to where the tree is in relation to our rights to access it.
Okay, thank you. What I would suggest that we do, if it's okay with my colleagues, that I'd like to entertain a motion to refer the communication to the city manager's office by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Any discussion on the communication? All those in favor of referring it to the city manager, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. So we'll refer this now to the city manager, and he will be in touch with you. Your contact information is on here, so he will be back in touch with the group. And I know that Lisa DeMeo, who is here, our city engineer, has been doing some work as well. I don't know if Lisa wants to wait. Why don't we wait until we put a report together, and after we've done some more research. I know that Lisa has provided the mayor's office with some information as well.
Okay.
We'll be happy to
So
do that.
when can we look forward to that?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the Mayor, Mayor Milanazzo, did pass this on to me earlier, and we've been doing, as he's indicated, we've been doing some work with our engineers and our planning department, and I would hope that we'll be able to get something out to you probably by the end of the week, the beginning of next week, at least a status report on that
That'd be
question.
great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, George. Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter. The next item on the agenda is another recognition. Eastern Bank requested to address the council on a new program called Make a Splash program. And I'm very pleased to introduce Bob Rivers, who's the president of Eastern Bank, who's here along with Joe Bartolotto, who's the senior vice president in charge of marketing and communications for Eastern Bank. So if my colleagues would allow the president of Eastern Bank, Bob Rivers, to come to the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Joe and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to address all of you this evening. First of all, we wanted to make sure that we congratulated all of you for your election to the City Council, and in particular to our friend Jim on his appointment as mayor. Congratulations to all of you. As you well know, public service is never easy, and in the current economic environment, and as a bank, we sure know this, it's never been more difficult than right now. So you should be commended not only for winning the election, but more so for your willingness to serve the city when it needs you most. I wanted to talk a little bit about Eastern Bank. We're celebrating a milestone of our own. We've just completed our first calendar year here in the city of Lowell. For those of you who may not be that familiar with Eastern, just a few tidbits. We're a full-service commercial bank, 82 branches, 21 insurance offices, 1,700 employees, all engaged in the pursuit of meeting the banking, investments, and insurance needs of our clients. Our vision is to be the best financial partner that our clients will ever do business with, the best organization that our colleagues, our employees will ever be a part of, and the best corporate citizen that our communities will ever know. And it's really this commitment that we have to giving back through volunteerism, through the monies that we give annually to our charitable foundation. We give, on average, 10% of our net income every year to our charitable foundation. And it's really in that spirit that I wanted to get to the special announcement I had for all of you this evening. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're calling Make a Splash in Lowell. And really, this is not only an honor to your election to the City Council, and really as a thank you for the warm welcome that we at Eastern have received here in Lowell. We can't thank you enough. But it's really in the spirit of community service that I just mentioned. It was on a frosty day last December when City Manager Bernie Lynch took a moment away from his city's immediate needs and began wondering how he was going to open up the city's pools this summer. Interesting, since the city manager told me that he doesn't swim earlier. Maybe it's time to start. And it was really the brainstorming that we had that led to a unique public and private partnership that again was dubbed Make a Splash in Lowell. And we at Eastern are partnering with the city to raise $50,000 to open up the swimming pools this summer. For every dollar donated, the Eastern Bank Charitable Foundation will match it until we reach our goal of $50,000. Donations can be made at easternbank.com/makeasplash or by visiting any one of our Greater Lowell branches. We're issuing a press release tomorrow, which will be followed by online ads and posters throughout the city. A key component of this is the online donation form, which I think a number of you just received, which is made possible by a third key partner in this program, the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. The goal is not only to provide kids a safe place to play, but also create summer jobs. Some have asked, what if we fall short of our fundraising goal? I haven't been personally around Lowell but the last 18 months, but from the strong civic spirit that I've seen, I have no doubt that we will meet it and probably even surpass it. The way the Lowell community comes together in support of good causes, I have no doubt that we'll be making a splash in Lowell this summer. Again, thank you for listening, and thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you,
this
Bob,
evening.
very much. Would any of my colleagues, especially Councilor Rita Mercy, who chairs the Parks Subcommittee, if you'd like to just acknowledge
That's
the gift.
wonderful. I'm going to be the first to make a donation, and I wish you the best of luck. We'll do whatever we can to help you by advertising, and we'll put you on City Life. We'll do whatever we can to, peak awareness. Thank you very, very much. You've been a great partner, and I know some years ago, Councilor Caulfield and I had a similar thing with the pools not able to be open, and through CTI, we were able to raise money to get that open. And they are on target. It is about $50,000 to do that. And it isn't all in the city that the children can go to the beach for the summer or on vacation. They stay in the city, and the pools are very crucial to cool down the children. And so it's a wonderful gesture on your part. You're a good neighbor. Thank you very much.
Great
and
pleasure.
I hope the public will support us in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This city is so fortunate. They have such a great business community who are always there in a time of need. And the banking community just stands tall. And Eastern Bank, you made notions of the fact we gave you a warm welcome. We are happy you're in our city. We are happy that you're doing good business. And like the other bankers in the city, they're always there to lend a hand on everything that we do. And God bless you and Eastern Bank and everything you do for people.
We're very thankful to be part of it. Thank you.
Again, on behalf of my colleagues, I too want to extend my thanks and to also acknowledge the fact that since Eastern has been here over the last 18 months, they've been involved in literally every community effort that we've put forward, be it through the Lowell Plan or the Lowell Development Financial Corporation. I know that you just gave a large donation to the Transitional Living Center on Middlesex Street. So we, again, appreciate you being in the city and being part of our community and giving back to the community. So we certainly appreciate this very nice gesture.
Yeah.
Thank you, and we're looking forward to helping you meet your goal.
Appreciate it very much. Thanks
Thank
again.
you, Bob. Thank you, Joe. Mr. Lynch.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, and let me just echo your comments and those of the city councilors in thanking Eastern Bank, and thank Bob for letting everyone know now they can take me out swimming. But really, this is such a great donation from Eastern Bank, and they have been such a great community partner in so many levels. Last year, as many people know, we experienced a very serious reduction in state aid. It really called into question our ability to provide the recreation programs that we do, particularly related to the swimming pools of the city. We were able to it was really a priority of the administration and certainly a priority of the city council, and I hear that on a regular basis, certainly, of doing more with regards to recreation programs for the youth of the city. So we made it a priority to keep some of the pools open last year when many other communities were, closing them up and locking them up and really eliminating that source of recreation that's so desperately needed during these tough economic times. We were able to do it last year in large part because of grant money we received through the Shannon Grant, the anti-gang grant that's provided here in the state, as well as some stimulus money that we received, both of which have been cut back or eliminated this year. So it really called into question, knowing this future local aid cuts coming and the tightness of our budgets, it really called into question our ability to provide this service again this year. And so when Eastern Bank offered this opportunity, this was really a great chance for us to ensure that we could put together a recreation program that the youth of this city really deserve, and some youth jobs for our youth. So I just want the city council to know that your request that we continue to make recreation a priority is being followed through, and in large part due to this effort. And I want to thank Eastern Bank for coming forward.
Appreciate your guidance.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Manager Lynch. Thank you. Councilor Mercia?
I'm just a little bit relieved because when I saw it say, make a splash in Lowell, I thought you were setting up a dunk tank and initiating this council to be sitting in there. So I'm thrilled it isn't about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again very much. Continuing on with the agenda, the minutes of the March 2nd for acceptance. Motion by Councilor Murphy, second by Councilor Mendonça, to accept the minutes and place on file. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Under City Manager, communications from City Manager, responses to council motions and requests. Do we have any communications or motions that we want to speak to the manager about this evening? Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't actually have a communication, but before I came to the City Council meeting this evening, I did receive a call about the congestion in the traffic along University Avenue by the VFW highway. So if that requests a suspension of the rules to discuss that, I would entertain that
Motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor of the suspension, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Chair
Thank you.
recognizes Councilor Mercia.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the city manager, it seems that there's much congestion during peak hours of people going home around between 4, 5, 6 in the area of University Avenue from the VFW up to Riverside Street. And it seems that there are police officers available in that immediate area, but they're there to tag the people that have gone through a light and didn't make it across. And I'm thinking that people are just put in a day's work and are trying to get home, and I know that we want to collect revenue, and I've said it myself, but it's almost like a stopgap whereby we're lassoing in people to give them tickets, and the tickets are $125, and if you're like, there's 2 lanes, one to take a right on Riverside, or one in the middle to go straight up, and somehow, I don't know if it's defined properly, but people are getting in the wrong lanes, and people are being ticketed for being in the wrong lanes and things, and it's almost like, I can sympathize with them because it's probably something that I could do, is get in the wrong lane and be ticketed for not taking a right when I was thinking of going straight. And instead of that, I think the police should be better used to just move traffic on instead of stopping there to ticket people. I don't know, but there are quite a few people that called me and said that they received tickets, and it was very confusing as to which lane they're supposed to be in, and it really isn't too bad until you have the university buses, and then the bus gets half out, and they follow in that bus, and then the lights change, and they're stuck there through no fault of their own, and they're ticketed. So if we could just address that particular area so that people aren't burdened, I don't know what to say, to get the traffic moving, and instead of being there to just lasso people or ticket them. I don't know if are the police that are there, are they on overtime, Mr. Manager?
I don't believe they are.
Mr. Manager.
If I may, I did receive one complaint from one gentleman that called me a couple of weeks ago about this, and we're going to take it wasn't a couple of weeks ago, because it was last week, that we're going to take a look at the the striping and the signage there, and of course it's tough at this time of year.
Signage would be good
the
too.
The issue that we really have is we don't have enough police officers there to. First off, lights tend to work better than police officers in terms of getting traffic controlled and moved through. And you can't just put a police officer at one light. You have to put them probably at both intersections. And again, it isn't the best solution. The problem we have is people don't adhere to the state law regarding blocking an intersection. And they all many people try to sneak out and, take advantage of that small opening. So that's what's in large part causing the traffic congestion in that general area, people just not adhering to the law. But I will work with the chief to see if we can address that in some manner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council Broderick, then Council Martin, and then Council Coffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not too familiar with the actual intersection that we're talking about, but I think in general, we have to enforce this. This is a huge problem. Trying to come through downtown, coming in off the connector, try and get across the city, you can't get through downtown because people pull in, and there's a log jam in every intersection because people don't observe the lights. If we're not going to enforce it, it's going to get worse. It can be crazy trying to get through downtown. Again, I'm not speaking about these particular people. If we can do something for signage and better mark the streets so there's no confusion, that's a different issue. But I think we should do more enforcement on this. You can't get on the Lowell connector or get off the Lowell connector between 7 and 8, 8:30 in the morning, and then from 4 o'clock till 5:30. It's insane. People, they absolutely take advantage of it, creep out, it blocks traffic the other way, and that's when things start getting nasty. You walk through downtown, you hear people tooting, it gets a little bit nasty out there, and it's a matter of enforcement. And we don't have enough, I don't think we have enough police officers to put them at all these intersections to help move people along. I think people that are, again, I'm not saying that the situation here is the same, but people who are not observing it need to get hit in the pocketbook, in order to, maybe to pay attention. And I would expect that, if some people maybe slide out and all of a sudden the light changes, I would assume a police officer can recognize that, as opposed to someone who obviously sneaks out and tries to catch it as the other line is already moving. We all drive through downtown, you see it. It happens every day, and it's very frustrating, and it also affects the businesses downtown. People don't want to come downtown because of, and I'm referring to downtown because it tends to have more traffic. It negatively impacts our businesses downtown because people don't want to come down. They don't want to fight the traffic. They don't want to wait in line and deal with the frustration. So I think we have to enforce it, but anything we can do in some of these intersections that there may be questions and some confusion, I'm all for that. Help people understand it better, and then we won't have the confusing situations, and we can focus on the people that are just blatantly disregarding the law and going through the red and causing a problem for everybody else. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's, in addition to the call Councilor Mercia got, there's a letter on our desk tonight. Someone had the same problem at YMCA Drive and Thorndike Street. I know it's happening up at Nesmith Street near the Hunts Falls Bridge. And I think it's rush hour traffic. You know, it's not unique to this city, although it does seem to be pretty bad at rush hour. And I think there are people that do get innocently caught. You know, if you go through an intersection that you don't know, that's what happens every day at that time, then you could, you know, inadvertently go through and block. And I think Councilor Mercia raises a good point about, you know, if we have an officer there to give tickets, why can't the officer just as easily guide people as opposed to writing tickets? I know the police get complaints, traffic's a mess, get an officer up there and do something about it, and that's maybe the approach. I don't believe this is really done to raise revenue. I think this is done to keep traffic flowing. So I think it's a worthy discussion to have with the chief if there's some, you know, if there's something, you know, in between having an officer in the intersection pulling traffic or writing tickets, if there's a better approach, at least at some of these intersections. I think you do need to nab people that are taking advantage, but in situations like this, there are chances you catch somebody kind of just making an honest mistake.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Martin. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very in tune with Councilor Mercia's explanation because I received phone calls as well. And at the university, the bus parks there. And when the flow of traffic, many times they have to go around the bus. And when they go around the bus, they're in violation of getting out of the right lane into the left lane, go back into the right lane. It's just common sense. There was no other way to do it. And I agree that the police officer, Mr. Manager, should be there to help people move the traffic and keep the traffic flowing. And I would not like to think that we're issuing $150 tickets to boost our revenue. And people work hard. They're trying to get home at night. They have a family to support. And a $150 ticket certainly is not going to help. So I would hope that the officer will be there to assist those people in traffic rather than to pull them over and issue a $150 ticket. So I agree with Councilor Mercia's assumption on this.
Thank you. Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, the only comment I would make is that I can assure you that we're not, the police are not there to boost city revenue. We have a problem, as Councilor Broderick pointed out, we have problems in numerous intersections across the city where people do clog up the intersections. All it takes is one person or a couple people getting in, clogging up that intersection, then it backs up in the other directions, and that's where the gridlock really happens. And so we're trying to address that, and the situation you describe is exactly the one that I was told about. So I sense it may be the same individual that was discussing the moving into the different lanes. But let me work with the chief and see what we can do to address some of these issues.
Councilor Caulfield?
Mr. Manager, the person who called me wasn't blocking the intersection. They went from the right lane to the left lane to get around the bus.
Right.
And then they were pulled over by a police officer and given a ticket.
Right.
Intersections wasn't even an issue here. Am I right, Councilor Mercia?
Yes, that's
So
right.
it wasn't an intersection issue at all.
No, I understand. That's exactly what the comment was of the gentleman who called me.
Right, okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Motion by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Martin to refer this issue to the city manager's office for report. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Going back to the regular agenda, any other councilors wishing to speak on communications from city manager? Responses? Hearing none, motion to accept the communications placed on file by Councilor Mendonça, second by Councilor Dakota. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Next item on the agenda is reappointment of Kerry Hall to the Board of Health. We have a letter in our packets from City Manager Lynch. Dear Mayor Milanazzo and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Mass General Law, Chapter 11, Section 26, as amended by Chapter 60 of the Acts of 1997, as further amended by Section 312 of Chapter 159 of the Acts of 2000, I have reappointed the following person to the Board of Health: Kerry A. Hall, 73 Alcott Street, Lowell, Mass., which term expires February 4th, 2013, or such time thereafter until its successor is appointed and qualified. Under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the city council is required for this appointment and is hereby requested. I'll be happy to answer any inquiries that you may have concerning this appointment. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager. Second reading by title. Accept the communication placed on file by Councilor Mendonça, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Second reading by title, in City Council, reappointment Kerry Hall to the Board of Health. Motion by Councilor Broderick to accept the appointment, second by Councilor Dakota. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendonça.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. Next item, resignation appointment to the Hunger Homeless Commission. We have a memo and a letter from City Manager Lynch. The first is the memo. Please be advised that the City Council meeting to be held on March 9th, I am taking the following actions with regards to the Hunger Homeless Commission. Resignation, Juan Nunez, Institute of Health and Recovery. Appointments, Troy Betancourt, Institute of Health and Recovery, 349 Broadway Street, Cambridge, Mass. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Dear Mayor Milonazo and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Chapter 382 of the Acts of 1991 and Code of the City of Lowell, Article 7, Section 9-23, I am appointing the following persons to the Hunger Homeless Commission. Troy Betancourt from the Institute of Health and Recovery, 93 Central Street, Suite 205A, Lowell, Mass. Appointed to the unexpired term vacated by Juan Nunez, which term will expire August 25th, 2011, or until such time thereafter as the successor is appointed and qualified. Under the above referenced ordinance, confirmation by the City Council is not required. I would be happy to answer any inquiry you have concerning this appointment. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch. Accept the communication placed on file by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next item, communication from manager, accept the resignation of the Conservation Commission, Kathy A. H. Downey. This letter is from Manager Lynch to Ms. Downey. This letter acknowledges the receipt of your letter dated March 1st, 2010, in which you resign as a board member of the Conservation Commission. Your resignation is hereby accepted. I am filing your resignation and this acceptance thereof. This date with the city clerk as required by law, and also forwarding copies as a communication to the City Council. The City of Lowell appreciates your years of service, and on its behalf, I extend thanks. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch. Accept the communication and placed on file by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Any questions? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. We have a communication from the Planning Board, recommendation zoning 160.1 Swan Street. From Planning Board, recommendation amend zoning 160.1 Swan Street. We accept that and place on file and refer to a public hearing on April 6th. Any discussion? Councilor Martin.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I meant to comment on the last item, but I know it's practice to thank people for their service, but I think we had a nice note from Ms. Downey here, and she enjoyed her service, just unable to continue due to circumstances, so we do appreciate her service.
Thank you.
I have no comment on this item.
Okay, thank you. Motion then by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Mercia, to accept and place on file and refer the ordinance to a hearing on April 6th. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations authorizes the City Council to make such temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows. Effective immediately for a period of 60 days thereafter, the following temporary traffic regulations shall be implemented. Section 266-56, parking prohibited on certain streets at all times is hereby amended by adding the following: Iowa Street, northerly side from where Iowa Street terminates at the eastern edge of 37 Iowa Street to a point 100 feet west of said termination. Second reading by title. In City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinance, the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, Temporary Traffic Regulations, are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval.
Approval by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Murphy.
Yes.
Councilor Broderick.
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mendoza. Yes. Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo.
Yes.
9 yeas.
In City Council vote, accepting the provisions of Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code, which is set forth in 780 CMR 120.AA as an appendix to the Massachusetts State Building Code, whereas the purpose of the Massachusetts Stretch Code 760 CMR 120.AA is to provide a more energy-efficient alternative to the base code energy for new and existing buildings, and whereas by the acceptance of the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code, the City of Lowell shall ensure that construction within its boundaries, both new construction and existing building renovation, shall be designed and built according to the energy efficiency requirements of the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code, and whereas this appendix shall regulate the design and construction of buildings to provide flexibility and permit the use of innovative approaches and techniques to achieve effective energy use, and whereas, if adopted, the appendix rather than 780 CMR 13, 34, 61, and 93 as applicable shall govern, and whereas 780 CMR 120.AA may be adopted or rescinded by the City of Lowell by a majority vote of the City Council and approval of the City Manager, and whereas the City Council, following Council Rule 28, shall hold a public hearing on the matter at least 1 week prior to the council vote thereon, and whereas it is intended that such vote would specify the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code would become effective in the City of Lowell on July 1st, 2010. Now, therefore, it is voted by a majority as follows, that the City Council of the City of Lowell hereby accepts the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code as set forth in 780 CMR 120.AA as an appendix to the Massachusetts State Building Code, including the acceptance of the emergency amendment to Section 101.3, and included the acceptance of any subsequent amendments to said Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code. A copy of said code is hereby attached, marked A, and be it further voted that the Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code 780 CMR 120.AA shall become effective in the City of Lowell on July 1st, 2010. Second reading by title, vote in City Council accepting the provisions of Massachusetts Stretch Energy Code, which is set forth in 780 CMR 120.AA as an appendix to the Massachusetts State Building Code. It's the wish of the council. We're actually referring it to a public hearing on March 23rd by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Murphy.
I just wanted to note for those interested in learning more about it that there will be a presentation given March 18th here in the Mayor's Reception Hall at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Elliott.
I was going to suggest, I'm glad to hear that, Council Murphy, because this there are some good things with this Stretch Energy Code. My concern is the impact that it has on future development. Because if you read through it and you read through articles, there are some significant increases in costs. And I know most of those are primarily on new construction and those homes that are 3,000 square feet and higher. And I don't think we have a lot of those buildings in the city. But it also applies to commercial development projects 5,000 feet and higher. So I know the Home Builders Association of Massachusetts, they have a figure that it's, can add $10,000 to $20,000 on homes and higher costs on others. So it does have some good things. But I'm glad to hear there's a workshop. I was going to suggest that neighborhood groups maybe get a fact sheet, or if there can be any effort to go out and speak to the neighborhood organizations, or just to get some input. And I know some communities that are going through this or entertaining it are holding town meetings, if you will, or workshops. So I think it's important to get a dialogue on this and let people know exactly what it is. my other concern is that there will be some additional costs if you're doing a home improvement. So those are just my comments, knowing that it's going to a public hearing, that we do as much, as much outreach as we can. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. The chair recognizes Council Caulfield and Councilman Mendoza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When this article goes to the public hearing, Mr. Manager, if you could have information for the council, how many communities in the state have adopted this energy-saving program, which I think is good, but it also will raise the cost of construction and so forth for building of homes and so forth. So if you could just have that information for us, I think it'd be well served. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mendoza?
Yeah, similarly, the emergency amendment to section that was in the vote piqued my interest. So if we can make sure we have some information about exactly what that was. Anything done in haste, I'm concerned about. So emergency may have been done that way. But I'm sure there's a perfectly good explanation. So if we just have that information at the time of the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Again, motion to refer to a public hearing on March 23rd. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, the vote. Thank you. Council Elliott.
Could I just ask Council Murphy what time that meeting is here on the 18th?
Sure. That's 6 p.m.
6
in the
p.m.
Mayor's
Okay, you did say
reception hall.
6. I'm sorry.
6 p.m. in the Mayor's reception room.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, in-city council ordinance. An ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, as amended, Chapter 9, Article 8 thereof, entitled Immigration Assistance Commission, with respect to Section 9 through 25 and 9-26 and 9-27. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows, that the Code of Ordinance of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, hereinafter called a code adopted by the City Council on December 23, 2008, is amended, is hereby amended with respect to Chapter 9, Article 8 thereof, entitled Immigration Assistance Commission, by rescinding Chapter 9, Article 8, Sections 9-25, 9-26, 9-27, and enacting in place thereof the following ordinance, which shall supersede the aforementioned sections of the code previously adopted on December 9, 1997, by the Lowell City Council. Chapter 9, Article 8 of the Lowell City Code shall now read as follows. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor of waiving the full reading signify by saying aye. To vote, this too gets referred to a public hearing on March 23rd. Refer to a public hearing by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of referring this ordinance to a public hearing on March 23rd, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. This will also go to public hearing March 23rd. Thank you. Subcommittee reports. The chair recognizes Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mayor. Very briefly, the Flood Subcommittee met prior to the City Council meeting to get an update from the city manager and the city solicitor on the current litigation, or pending litigation, that the city has filed against Boot and L Corporation for installing an additional 1 foot of flashboards when there is agreement in place, referred to as the Wang Agreement, that stipulates that there should be a 4-foot flashboard between, all year, with the exception of from June on. So the solicitor did give an explanation as to what is happening. We originally had filed suit in state court, but federal jurisdiction, because the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission has jurisdiction over this, it was bumped over to federal court. There's a hearing scheduled tentatively for the 24th. It's not final yet, in federal court in Boston at the Moakley Courthouse. The motion was to request for the removal of that additional foot during the flood season. I don't know if the solicitor, I'd like to refer the solicitor for a better explanation on the procedure and process. At the same time that this motion for injunctive relief has filed, they're concurrently trying to mediate the circumstances. So, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, I'd like to refer to Madam Solicitor for a specific discussion as to exactly what has taken place for the people at home.
Thank you. Madam Solicitor?
Sure. Much as you had indicated, the city is pursuing injunctive relief Right now, we're looking at the date of the 24th. That may change. If it does, well, in any event, we'll be notifying the council, and we will also, as indicated in the subcommittee, notify the residents of a final date for the hearing. In addition to that, the city has also had been notified that we were assigned a particular federal mediator, a federal judge that would mediate if the parties wanted to. That's something that the city had orally indicated to the court right away that we were very inclined to do that, and we still are. And so we're also going to, in addition to seeking injunctive relief, we will be pursuing a mediation session with the federal judge that has been assigned.
Thank you, Mayor. That is a report of progress. We'll be meeting sometime after the hearing and get an update on any progress on mediation or what the resolution is in federal court.
Thank you. Motion by Councilor Murphy, second by Councilor Mercia to accept the report as a report of progress. Please indicate by saying aye. Opposed is a vote. Any other subcommittee reports this evening? Hearing none, moving on to the petitions. We have one petition that needs to get referred to the Law Department, along with two claims that were in our packets, but they were not actually on the agenda. So if we could refer the one petition regarding Lowell Quick Mart and then the two claims to the Law Department. Motion by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Caulfield to refer those three items to the Law Department. Please signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. We also have two other petitions, one for the Acre Laundromat at 63 Fletcher Street, and then the Joyce Roller at 16 Chippewa Street. Refer both of these to the traffic engineer by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor of referring those to the traffic engineer signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. We're on to the motions. The first motion by Councilor Patrick Murphy. Request the City Council observe the City Council rules. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In just a little over 2 months, I'm not going to pretend to be the council's parliamentarian, but there was a rules issue that arose last week that I'd like just to have addressed. There is Rule 17, which clearly states that councilors have 2 opportunities to speak of no more than 5 minutes. And so this is just a simple request, really, that we really stick to that in fairness to other councilors, in fairness to the registered speakers, and I think in fairness to the people here at home watching for many hours. So it's just a simple request, and I know we all love a good debate, but I think the debate would be better if we stuck within the parameters that the council has set for itself.
Thank you, Councilor Murphy.
Thank you.
Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know chairing the meeting sometimes can be very testy and very difficult, but Councilor Murphy brings out a good point. The council should live by their rules, but also, Mr. Mayor, anyone going to that podium, they have 5 minutes or less as well. And the gentleman from Springfield who spoke very eloquently and brought out some good points, he was there for well over 15 minutes. So it works both ways, at the podium and at the desk. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Solicitor.
Just by way of clarification, it was soon after I had given the council the opinion on the public hearing, but just to make it clear, what was noted in that was for your consideration was to have a presentation prior to the opening of the public hearing. So it might not have been 100% clear, but actually the gentleman from Springfield was part of the manager's presentation, which was to then precede the actual public hearing. And so he wouldn't have been necessarily subjected to or limited by the five minutes. I just wanted to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Any other? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. So during a public hearing, there's the rules, council rules don't apply. I mean,
No, they do.
There's no 5-minute rule.
There is.
There is.
There is.
So,
But I think that, Madam Solicitor, again, clarify the
Yeah,
point.
what I was trying to explain is that we had sort of what arguably might have been an awkward setup in terms of having a public hearing prior to there being a presentation on the subject of the public hearing. And so I had suggested for the council's consideration, when reviewing the whole issue of when you can speak or not speak on a public hearing, that consideration may want to be given to actually having the presentation, whether it be by a petitioner or, in this case, the manager, prior to the opening of the public hearing. And I just wanted to point out that when there was the presentation from the Springfield representative, that was actually part of the presentation prior to the public hearing. And therefore, since it was part of the presentation, it wouldn't have necessarily been limited to the 5-minute rule. It's not a big issue, but I just wanted just to make that
that's,
clear.
I understand the rule, but I know there are always some exceptions too, and
Sure.
that's understandable. So the manager's PowerPoint presentation, are they subject to the 5-minute rule?
not,
No?
Can we make it?
You can talk.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Councilor Murphy. City Council requests the city manager consider conducting a municipal water usage audit and completing a conservation plan. Second by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you. We had just referred the stretch code to a public hearing, and that's a part of the larger Green Communities Act, which deals primarily, or in fact, it deals solely with energy consumption. And this is an attempt, I think, to look at other means to reaching our goal of sustainability here in the city. And so to begin looking at ways where we can, in fact, reduce our water consumption in the city and realize significant cost savings. There was a report that I read where if each resident here in the city reduces his or her water consumption by 1 gallon, that would actually produce $28,000 worth of savings. And that represents roughly 20 seconds worth of water use. So there is significant potential here for not only cost savings, but also to use our resources more effectively.
Thank you. Councilor Rita Mercia.
And I know how you can save water for every household in the city of Lowell. In their water tank, if you put a brick in there, that's a brick less of water that'll accumulate in the water tank, and that'll save a significant amount of water. I put a brick in there many years ago, and it's still there today.
Not your hot water tank, your water tank, your...
The toilet tank
right,
in the
right.
in
I
the
thought
water.
you meant, right.
Not my hot water tank.
Right, that's right. Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Councilor Caulfield. City Council requests the city manager to place Nelson Street on the repaving repair list. Seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Nelson Street is right off of Middlesex Street. It's almost the Chancellor-Lowell line. And I received a call from a constituent, and I went up there, and the problem with Nelson Street, there's many streets that need to be repaved, but the problem with Nelson Street is the BFI truck, Mr. Manager, went right through the road. The weight of the truck was too heavy for the road. And at the end of the street, the house on the left, the road is just, doesn't exist no more, and the people can't get in and out of their driveway or whatever. So it has to be really looked at. There was no substance to the road itself, and the weight of the truck, those trucks, they weigh a lot more than the old standard truck, and the road just collapsed. Okay. So if that truck won't support, if that street won't support that truck, it won't support a fire truck either. So I'd like to have you look at it,
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Broderick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a good motion for this time of the year, and through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could request or the manager to provide us with some type of report in terms of if DPW's come up with a list of road improvements for this year. And also, I know in years back, we've come up with, I think there's been a list of grading the roads and which ones are going to be repaired, because I'm sure we're all going to get these calls in the next couple of months. I mean, it was a very brutal winter, and the frost heaves are terrible. So if we could get some type of report so people at home realize that, you know, there is a procedure for this, and it's not whoever calls the most councils gets a road fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion?
I think we just got one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
If I could, I know we got something about a list, but there was precious little in there about how that list was compiled. You know, whether it was based on, you know, I know a lot of the road repaving going on right now is due to the CSO project. That's so as streets are dug up, they get repaved. But apart from that project, you know, how are streets evaluated and how do streets get selected one over the other? Is it based on that study we had done a few years ago or not? Or so that, I think that's really what I'd like to hear anyway.
Okay, thank you. Manager Lynch?
Yes, Council, as you point out, there are streets that are being done through the CSO project and others that are being done through some water work that's taking place and some state roads that take place. But for the other city roads, we are utilizing the pavement management plan that was done a number of years ago, but then set aside for a period of time. We updated that plan about a year and a half ago, I think it was now, and we're now utilizing that as our guide. If the council would like, we can get a more detailed description of how that plan is being utilized, if you think that would be helpful. But I do think in response to Councilor Broderick's comments that what I think would be useful is if we and I don't think we've done this yet, is to publicize that more so that people have a sense of the road work that's taking place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to make work for people. I just, you know, would like to know which streets were selected from that list, for example.
Right.
Okay.
I'm going to recognize Councilor Elliott again because I'm not sure he was finished before.
I did notice in the report that we received, either from the auditor or planning development, that there was $50,000 of block grant money set aside for streets, which is an increase of last year was $14,000. I know we're in the process of going through the the 5-year plan. Is there additional money set aside? And I know I'm putting the horse before the cart before the horse, but is there additional money for this year for streets and sidewalks again?
No, generally speaking, the money that we utilize is, you know, we set aside some money with the block grant program, and that's been squeezed quite a bit over time. In particular, we're utilizing the block grant money to put towards the streets in the neighborhood that we're focusing or prioritizing this year in the second year of our neighborhood initiative program. The remaining portion of our street work is done, if it's not done through the CSO or the water, is done through the Chapter 90 program.
Right.
And so it's incumbent upon us, and we've been getting more roads approved on Chapter 90, and I know this is something that Councilor Mercier has spoken to in the past. But that's the way we fund that. You know, I'd like, in time, I think everyone in the city would like to see us be able to put more money towards our streets and sidewalks, because they are many of them are in less than positive condition, and but obviously that's going to require us really moving forward with the full implementation of a capital plan. So that's generally how we fund those improvements.
Approximately how much do we get from chapter money? I know it's been significantly scaled back over the last several years.
Actually, it was scaled back, but they've increased that again. Okay. I want to say, and there's 3 of us here that look at those numbers, and I can't recall. It's like, I want to say it's like 1.3 million, roughly.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
We'll get
I was just curious, a ballpark number. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Mercier?
Some many years ago, we did have some sort of a study, and they took a look at every single street in the city of Lowell, and they graded each street, one being the best shape, and like 4 or 5 being pretty bad or whatever. And so is that what we're following, the Dan Tenza street book? Because I remember the day he threw it across the room and scared us all to death, but
Right.
we're following that Dan Tenza book, right?
It is, but it's been updated since Councilor Tenzar was here.
Okay.
So it
Thank
has
you.
more current information.
Thank
And
you.
it is a, if it could be very briefly, it is a tough thing for some people to understand that some roads that aren't in very bad, that are in pretty good shape, in fact, will receive work, while other roads that are in very bad shape may not receive work. The reason being that those roads are considered to be so poor that and they receive generally less, maybe perhaps less traffic, that you set those aside and you might do preventative maintenance, crack filling, or some other technique to make sure that the roads that are in seemingly okay condition are preserved and have a longer life. That sometimes becomes confusing for some residents. There is a method, a scientific method that goes with the way you exercise this pavement management plan. But that is the plan that we're utilizing right now. And obviously, we have some discretion within that.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Just,
Council Caulfield.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very aware of that report that Councilor Tenza had on his desk and went on the floor. I'm very aware of that, and I agree with that report. I've been an advocate of that for years, that the worst streets in Lowell should be repaved first. And we did receive a list of streets that are going to be repaved. Many of them are in the Highlands because of the installation, the separation of the storm drains. And 90% of those streets should have been repaved. But there are streets that fall in the cracks, and Nelson Street is one of them, where the street, Mr. Manager, can't be repaired. The street is disintegrating from within. There's no foundation there. And I'm just in fear that a fire truck could just go out of sight, and it's very obvious that it can't support any weight, so.
Okay, thank you.
And again, Councilor, we're going to go out and take a look at that.
Council Murphy.
I'll wait for, the report on how exactly it's put together, but we were talking last week about pothole abatement and striving to get better at filling that in a shorter period of time. But of course, you can have the instance where you're meeting that goal of filling potholes much more quickly, but not realizing that you're not being as effective because you keep on going back to the same street. So that would be a data set that I would look at to see whether or not in the long term we're being effective.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Council Martin.
Just that Councilor Tenza would be proud to hear that after all these years now, the report that he had a fire almost out the window is now being adhered to. And I think he would deem his service on the city council to have been worthwhile for that single goal being accomplished alone. So,
Duly noted. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Councilor Dakota. City Council requests the city manager to provide a comprehensive list of city boards and commissions and detail the procedures for appointing new members. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this motion represents some of the positive changes that are happening in Lowell. I spend much of my time downtown because I live and work down there, and there are a lot of business owners and residents who are new to Lowell and have made Lowell their home, and now they're interested in getting involved. Additionally, many members of the Southeast Asian community who have grown up in Lowell are starting to show interest. And I had a conversation with a woman who just didn't understand the process, thought you had to be a friend of a friend of a friend. So I thought it would be nice to have the information available for people who would like to get involved.
Thank you. Any other comments on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. The last motion of the evening by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city auditor provide report on the performance of the city pension system and the annual cost of taxpayers. Second by Councilor Mendonça. Councilor Elliott.
Motion speaks for itself. I know that the The retirement system is audited on an annual basis. I don't know if we've received an audit. Just want to get an idea of how it's performing during these market conditions, and what the cost is this year and next year, because it is part of our budget, and it's a big cost to our budget. So that's the motion, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Anything else? Motion to adjourn by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Vote. Thank you. And good evening. Thank you.